Who doesn't love a good boss battle? And you know what? You have to feel bad for those who are the underlings to the main big bad in video games. We're all talking about the final boss battles, the biggest boss battles, but these guys, they're trying to do their lord's work. And some even step up their game every once in a while to make them utterly harrowing and truly, truly memorable. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video game sub-bosses with unexpected second phases. Number 10, Granny Rags, Dishonored. Now, the villainous characters in Dishonored aren't presented as bosses in the traditional sense. Most of the time, it's the environments that they're in that are the real challenge, and killing your target is sometimes as simple as sneaking up behind them and running them through. Granny Rags, one of the series' most popular characters, is only actually a villain if you choose to make her one, i.e. if you don't turn a blind eye to the fact that she's kidnapping people and boiling them alive. At the very end of Chapter 7, you'll find Granny preparing to kill and cook Slackjaw, the leader of the Bottle Street gang. If you choose to assassinate her there and then, she'll appear to die, only to dissolve into a swarm of plague rats and teleport up to a higher level. Effectively, this fight has an infinite number of stages, as Granny Rags is actually unkillable until you sever her immortality by burning a cameo of her in a furnace. After this, she can be taken out in any number of ways, but unless you know what you're going to do going in, you'll have quite a frustrating fight on your hands. Number 9, the two-mouthed wall, Cuphead. What's definitely not unexpected about Cuphead is its ludicrous difficulty, whether you're playing solo or with a friend. There are an insane amount of tough bosses to fight your way through over the course of this title, as well as a fair few sub-bosses that show up to give you a bit of pre-boss aggro. In the level Funhouse Frazzle, you'll come across one such sub-boss, the two-mouthed wall. It's literally a wall with a mouth on both the floor and the ceiling, and this enemy spits out red-lit projectiles and lines of toy cars until you deal enough damage to its one central eye. Later on in the level, you'll find another identical wall blocking your path once again. This time, however, the toy cars are replaced with a long tongue that can whip out towards you with only a split-second warning. Now, it's clear that these two are separate enemies, so the latter's different attack isn't technically a second phase of the former, but seeing as no other sub-bosses appear more than once in the game, much less in the same level, the close proximity of these two encounters can easily be seen as a two-stage boss battle with a small break in between. Number 8, Doom Hunter, Doom Eternal. Though there are only a handful of actual bosses in 2019's Doom Eternal, many of the regular enemies are so brutally unforgiving that it wouldn't be a stretch to call any number of them mini-boss fights in their own right. That aside though, one new enemy definitely is set up as a sub-boss the first time you encounter it, and that is the Doom Hunter. Originally a race of extinct Hellspawn warriors, these hunters were dug up by the UAC and brought to life with a ton of advanced cybernetic augmentations. Its arms have been replaced by powerful cannons and its legs by a rocket-powered chariot. Therefore, the Doom Hunter presents a whole new challenge for the already trigger-happy Doomslayer. First of all, its top half is shielded by a force field that only the plasma rifle can briefly disperse. But what's easier to aim at though is the Hunter's chariot, which will shut down after enough damage has been dealt to it. At this point, the Doom Hunter lets out a terrifying cry of "critical damage" and detaches itself from its base, still able to hover around after you at high speed. Though this stage is somewhat easier considering all of its force field is down, the fact that this beast is still hanging on even after you cripple it can still lead to an unaware player downfall. Number 7, Shalema. A new DLC pack nearly always means new enemies to fight, and this is just another area in which The Witcher 3's acclaimed expansion Blood and Wine does not disappoint. Near the start of the DLC, Big G here is taken to a gladiator arena where soldiers are being pitted against a fiercely aggressive rock creature, the Shalema. Obviously, Big G steps in to lend a hand, and thus the fight begins. Now, the Shalema is already an incredibly tough enemy, its rock-hard exoskeleton protecting it from your sword strikes and rendering it only vulnerable from the underneath. Once you get the beast down to about a third of its health, it will gain a devastating new attack that can take you out before you even process just what the hell happened. This attack involves the Shalema tunneling underground and then spinning so as to hurl huge chunks of rocks in every direction. If you're caught in it, you'll be pretty injured at the very least, and if you're not expecting it, this second phase attack could very well claim your life. Number 6, Berith and Halfus, Rogue Legacy. Rogue Legacy is a brilliant procedural dungeon crawler experience that will present a hefty challenge to both newbies and experienced roguelike players. Each of the castle's 4 areas has a couple of lesser bosses to go with it, and of course an unforgivable main area boss, and if you're crazy enough to seek them out, you have to be sure that the reward is worth the risk. Castle Hampson, the first area, is home to Berith and Halfus, 2 unique giant skeletons that are usually found near the top of the level. Though they're pretty much identical in appearance and actions, the trajectories of the bones they throw are completely random, meaning that you'll have to dodge constantly while getting your attacks in. Once you kill one of them, the other will turn from yellow to red, and will throw a ton more bones at you at a much faster rate. Don't think that you'll have an easier time just because one of them is dead, as the surviving one will make sure you know just what you've got yourself into. Number 5. Goopa Blooper, Super Mario Sunshine. Goopa Blooper is an enemy that is fought 3 times in total throughout Super Mario Sunshine, twice in Riko Harbor and one in the elusive region of Noki Bay. And the battles in Riko Harbor present this creature as a bona fide boss. But the Noki Bay ones, though, does not, which is pretty curious. He appears in the area's second stage and is fought after Mario scales the entire wall of the moving ruins built into the cliff face. Once you get up there, the fight is identical to the previous ones, except it actually isn't, because the music that plays is the track you normally associate with smaller scale threats. So then you probably expect this to be a watered down version of the true Goopa Blooper boss. But no, it's exactly the same. After ripping off all of its tentacles, or just the front two if you'd like to live life on the edge, the force of pulling the cork out of the Goopa Blooper's mouth smacks him flat on the ground. Until he gets back up, his tentacles regrown and a deadly sludge now squirting out of his mouth. Since there's no real ceremony about this boss encounter, it's surprising that the encounter still has this second phase. Either way, it's not hard to clear away the goop and send this slippery squid flying back down into the water. Number 4. Suspicious Beggar and the Abhorrent Beast, Bloodborne. Its appearances in the Chalice dungeons aside, this is one foe that many players probably missed on their first playthrough of Bloodborne. For starters, even coming across this NPC version of the beast requires some pretty close exploration of a dimly lit area. The man known only as the Suspicious Beggar is found on a rooftop connected to the Forbidden Woods windmill. He's surrounded by bloody corpses, which should probably explain why he's so suspicious straight away, but he does seem pretty amicable once you actually talk to him. If you send him back to the chapel, you'll soon find that everyone else there gradually dies under mysterious circumstances. It's him, of course, but the only way to call him out is to attack him outright. Once aggroed, he'll turn into his true form, the Abhorrent Beast, which attacks with ferocious arm swings that inflict bolt damage. At the halfway point, he'll let out a growl, and from then on, not only will he be more aggressive, but his attacks have an added wind effect to them. This increases the size of their hitboxes and makes them far more likely to hit you, whether you've dodged or not. And in the tiny space that you've got to fight him in, good luck making it through that if you're not prepared. Number 3. Red Eye, Sonic and Knuckles. The classic era of Sonic the Hedgehog games are so famous for their high-speed gameplay, catchy soundtracks, and often punishing difficulty. They're also known for their many boss fights, which often appear at the end of each zone's 3 acts. In the Death Egg zone of Sonic and Knuckles, the Red Eye is fought as a sub-boss at the end of Act 1. A seemingly immobile robot turret, the Red Eye attacks with the rotating metal spheres that move up and down the pillar in a kind of orbital pattern. Each attack destroys one of the spheres, and after you've done this 8 times, the Red Eye pillar looks to be defeated. However, it's not. After the explosions disappear, the little eye module detaches itself from the pillar and is able to fly around on its own. Plates of spikes now surround it, and if you're able to get past those and attack the eye, they'll spin around even faster for a short time. Considering that it's hard enough to already hang on to your rings in Sonic and Knuckles at the best of times, having a sub-boss pull out a second phase like this is definitely an unpleasant surprise. Number 2. Darknut, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Darknut Knights are reoccurring enemies all throughout the Legend of Zelda series, normally featuring as sub-bosses or otherwise powerful foes for Link to overcome. This is particularly the case in 2008's Twilight Princess for the Wii, where one uniquely outfitted Darknut gives you a serious runaround in the Temple of Time. Its size alone should tell you how much of a tough opponent it's going to be, and sure enough, once the fight starts, you'll find yourself flipping and scampering all over the arena just to get away from its devastating sword swings. Each time you hit it, a piece of its armor comes off, and it's at this point you're probably assuming that you have to expose a weak point and do away with the tin pot terror that way. But that's not strictly true. What you actually have to do is remove its armor completely, and when that happens, the individual inside comes at you with a much faster and more ninja-like fighting style. It's quite the change from the slow-moving brute that you were fighting just a minute ago, so you'd be forgiven for not seeing this one coming at all. And number 1, the Stray Demon, Dark Souls 3. One of the core themes of the Dark Souls series is endless, inevitable decay, which nothing and no one has the power to stop. And since there are thousands of years separating Dark Souls 1 and 3, you get to see many times throughout the latter game just how much this decay has afflicted the denizens of Lothric and Lordran. In the first game, you'll come across 3 of the Stray Demon species, and you fight each one of them as fully fledged bosses. It's therefore quite a nice burst of nostalgia when you stumble into one in Dark Souls 3's Farron Keep, although that's definitely where the niceness business ends. Demons are dying out, and this stray demon is implied to have survived since the very beginning. Its body is tattered and quite literally crumbling away, which during your fight with it makes for a very unexpected mid-battle twist. If you choose to do enough damage to one of the demon's legs, it will completely shatter, leaving the stray demon largely unable to move. But don't think that the fight is over and done with, however, because now it will relentlessly use the boulder heave pyromancy, which can absolutely obliterate you if you're standing in the wrong place. There's also a certain added pressure to put this poor thing out of its misery now that you can see it flailing around on one crumbling leg, so the best thing that you can do is end things quickly. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video game sub-bosses with unexpected second phases. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice. It's my personal gaming channel where I stream every single Wednesday and Sunday. It'd be great to see you over there, my friends. But before I go, just want to say one thing. Treat yourself with love and respect, my friend, and do not let anyone else or anything tell you otherwise, because you are a massive ledge, okay? Now go out there and absolutely smash it. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome, never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.